Well, I've added another knife to my repertoire of custom sheaths. This is a cold steel pocket Bushman. It's a knife that's been around for a fairly long time by now. It's one of those knives that you either love it or hate it. Personally, I really like it. It's a pretty good knife. It has this kind of odd locking mechanism on it. It's different from your typical lockback, very strong and all of that. Referred to by some people as the folding fixed blade. It's a very large knife for a folding knife. And so I've just made this leather belt sheath for it, which I'll be making for sale. Hopefully, if there's any interest in them, we'll see if this one sells. But just a basic pouch type belt sheath with a belt loop on there. I also put a D-ring on it with the removable dangler in case you want it hanging from a belt. If you're using this as some kind of an outdoors bushcraft type of knife, it might be more comfortable to have it in a sheath rather than just in your pocket. Good heavy-duty leather. Actually, if I may say so myself, this came out pretty good for the first prototype. Nice fit, decent looking and all. And I actually have been carrying this knife all the time for probably about a month now, at least a month. And I had one of these years ago actually that I carried for quite a while, for a couple of years at least. And I lost it one day working in the woods. I had sometime previous to that, walking through a doorway, I caught the pocket clip on the that little metal thing sticks out that the bolt on the a door latch kind of locks into. Caught the clip on that walking by and bent it out, and it was always loose after that, and there was really no way to bend it and get it tight again. I guess it would have been possible if you take the belt clip right off with the screws there and rebend it and try to put it back on. But the pocket clip was always kind of loose, and one day I was cutting timber in some kind of brushy woods, and I think a tree branch just snagged on the lanyard on there and lifted it right out of my pocket. But so I ended up replacing it with a different knife, and for a long time didn't have one, but I was just kind of thinking about them recently and thought might as well pick another one up and try making some sheaths for it. So like I said, it's a pretty good knife. At the time that I had my old one, one of the thoughts I had at the time was that they ought to make it with some kind of a carbon steel blade. And I actually did for a while in the time when I never had one, and I ended up wishing that I had got one of those carbon ones at some point. Those have now been discontinued, and they just make the same standard 4116 Krupp stainless blades now. But when I bought this one, I got it on Amazon. It actually shipped from Blade HQ, but I bought this particular one because on the Amazon listing, the model number on it was the model number of one of the carbon ones that they made. Although when I got it, it ended up being just the current production 4116 stainless ones, which I kind of half expected would happen. They just had the wrong model number on there. I was hoping it would be an old stock carbon steel one, but it wasn't. But it's not too bad, and I'm not a big cold steel fan, generally speaking. I don't hate them. I don't think any of them are particularly fantastic, but they're generally a pretty decent knife. This one is a flat ground blade, which puts it way ahead of a lot of their other knives, in my opinion, as far as edge geometry. It still has a really thick edge with the big secondary bevel on it, which is really unnecessary. Definitely sacrifices a lot of slicing ability for that big thick edge. But it's still not bad. I've been using it for peeling cucumbers and all kinds of stuff, and it's doable, but it could be better. It's definitely not as good as that kind of stuff as my open L's that I have carried for years until I switched to this thing. Just kind of for the novelty of it for a while to see if it was as good as I remember for the old ones, but I've continued to carry it now for quite a while, at least a month, like I said, and probably will continue to. I don't find it to be difficult to open and close at all. It's pretty slick. You pretty much just hold on to the lanyard. I don't actually, when I open it, I don't pull on it like that to unlock the blade. I basically just hold it in my hand without really pulling it, and just a very slight forward push from that thumb stud, it opens right up smoothly. And it can be done one-handed also. It's a bit stiff, but I mean, they break in when you've used them for a while. And as I recall from my old one, a little lubrication helps tremendously also, although I think I found back then when I had put some oil on it, it doesn't really last that long and it tends to hold on to dust and stuff, so I think I had given up oiling it. See, sometimes you'll have to kind of reposition there to do it one-handed. But, you know, for normal knife stuff, I don't find two-handed opening and closing to be a big handicap. You can open it one-handed. It's actually a bigger handicap, if it really is one, that you need two hands to close it. You know, most other knives, like like a buck lockback or even my open L's, that you need two hands to open. You can close it with one hand pretty easily. You just kind of push the blade against something. But with this, you really need two hands to close it, more so than opening. But I think it's a good knife. You know, the other thing people say is it's uncomfortable. Another thing that I really don't find to be an issue, it does have a weird feel in the hand. You know, it's just a kind of folded and molded piece of 420 stainless for the handle. And the thing about the feel of knives and people talking about whether they're comfortable or not is most of the time you're just holding it in your hand like this and fiddling around with it like it's a fidget spinner or something, and it doesn't feel so comfortable in the hand, and some knives are more comfortable than others. But when you're actually doing a serious job with a knife and working with it, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Really, none of them are particularly, your knife, your hand rather, is not feeling comfortable when you're seriously using a knife hard. The most comfortable ones, in my opinion, for actually using them are handles that are as neutrally shaped as possible. When you have a lot of contours and bits that, feels great just holding it like this, oftentimes they're not that great to work with. But this, it looks uncomfortable and it feels funny in the hand, but for actually using it, it's not that bad. So, like I said, it's a good knife. They're still around. And you can also get a fine handmade custom sheath for it if you would like to carry it on your belt. I was undecided about adding the dangler thing on there. It's not something that I would use with it personally, but I figured someone might want them, so I figured for the first prototype here I would put the D-ring on it and include the little dangler attachment along with it. So that's that. It's the next custom sheath in the repertoire. So thanks for watching.